Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Rudy with Alpha Investments, and today we're going back to business school, everybody. We're going to do a little bit of discussion about time value of money and what I like to call the rate of return that I monitor for a lot of booster boxes. What's considered a good rate of return? What about a lot of the returns that seem like the best investments and the worst investments? Is there really that big of a difference percentage-wise when you divide up the years? How bad is the worst investment percentage-wise? How good is the best Magic sets? Are they really? Is it really that much more amazing? Probably. So, that's what I want to go over. I think we need to discuss a few things. I guess we just need to kind of go over the time value of money. And moving forward in this video, we need to go over the time value of Magic, as it will be called this moment forward. So we're going to talk about the time value of Magic right now. This whole video, time value of fucking Magic, people. Okay. You thought the video froze. No, it didn't. So, what the thing is a lot of people confuse raw dollar amount returns with actual percentage returns. And the differences are very, very extraordinarily different. It's almost surprising. And I want to start off with a few basic things. First of all, Fallen Empires. The thing you have to remember is most Fallen Empire boxes left sealed in existence today were actually purchased in bulk or leftover or in storage or from a distributor or whatever it was. A lot of my Fallen Empire factory sealed boxes came from many years ago. And I bought them for maybe $40 to $50 a box. I mean, distributors, online stores, a lot of online Magic dealers would give these away as like promo items, and just because they didn't sell, they were garbage sets. So what ended up happening over time is these $30, $40, $50 booster boxes eventually did go up quite a bit in value. But you're saying, Rudy, those are the worst boxes and sets of all time. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. Well, there's a little bit more to it. Technically, they're not the worst investment of all time. Technically, they're actually not that bad of an investment, depending where you got in. Because the thing is, if these boxes came out in 1994, and here we are in 2016, that's 2004, that's pretty much the 40. These are 22 years old. Well, the thing is, these boxes, when released, wholesale, were actually between $20 and $30 a box. So let's say the middle, $25 a box. I got a lot of my boxes around $30 to $40 a box. So we're going to go up to $30 a box. Now again, just follow the story. These boxes, for the most part, again, the ones left in existence now, were mostly purchased around $30 a box originally. I know a lot of them changed hands a million times. Well, 22 years later, here we are today. Well, if your average price from back in the day, if you had invested 22 years ago and paid $30 a box, right now, sealed Fallen Empire booster boxes, I usually sell them around $150 a piece. $30 a box to $150, well, percentage-wise, it's a 30 to a 60 to a 90, 120, 150. So technically, your $30 rolled into a 60, rolled again into a 90, rolled into a 120, rolled into a 150. That's a fourfold increase from the starting point. Now, if you want to be detailed and break it down and go into compound interest, but for the simplicity of this video and time value of Magic, I want to kind of go over why Fallen Empires was actually not the worst investment in Magic. Actually, it really isn't that bad of an investment in Magic. Now, in today's day and age, should you buy in Fallen Empires at $150 a box? Probably not. There's really not much more room to grow. But the thing is, overall, for the people who did invest for 22 years, or forget about it, or just had it in their closet, their returns were actually pretty good. They actually weren't bad at all. So, that's the first thing I want to lay out in this video. Now, again, if you just had one box and you made, $30 to $150, not really that big of a deal. But if you put in, instead of just a $30 box, if you had put in, for every $1,000 you'd put into it, you roll it 4 times, think about that. So if you had put in 5,000 or 10,000, you would have had pretty substantial dollar amounts. Which again, it would take you a long time to sell because they're not super liquid. You'd have to hold out for your $150 buyer, but they do move. You have to be patient though. The liquidity in Magic is never going to be the liquidity of Wall Street. That's why Wall Street is known for liquidity, and that's why people say it's always king, because they give instant buy-sell. So, usually. When you move that to another step, it brings me to some other sets about time value of Magic. Let's go with Avacyn. I love this set. Love this shit. This shit was so nice. Avacyn was what, 2012, I think, with everybody. You guys can correct me below. I'm sure you will. You know, again, wholesale at the time, Wizards, 73 and change. Okay, to the public on eBay, $90 a box usually. Now I think they're 160s to 180s. So from 2012 to 2016, you're looking at 4 years technically from release. I don't count that. I count, remember I chop off the first 2 years because that's a cool-off period. It's actually going through its distribution process. Technically, it's just 2 years past what I like to call the cool-off period. Well, to be a booster box that was, you know, $73 wholesale and is now 160s, percentage-wise, 2 years, around 110 to 120%. If you were a wholesale buyer or you owned a store and you sat on the inventory. So, even for the public, if you had bought it during that time period, originally, for $90 a box, you know, they're going for 160 to 180. You still would have been around 80 to 100% return in 2 years. Substantial effing return. That is literally almost a double in 2 years. Extraordinary returns. So, again, if somebody like Dr. Rudy or Mr. Timmy bought 100 boxes, you can double your money. 100 boxes at $80 a box is $8 grand, turn to 16 grand. Even if you take away shipping and fees, you turn to 15 grand. Still pretty damn good in 2 years. Then, you go to something like original, gorgeous Lily on the cover. Probably one of my favorite arts, best. I don't think that's Lily, actually. But who cares? I'm going to pretend it is. Original Innistrad. Whew, yeah. I bought all mine. I got around the 100 box investment. And there's a story time video coming on this particular story, details. But, you know, we're looking at from, you know, again, $73 box at the time, wholesale from Wizards. $76, $77 through distributors. I think they're $300 on eBay, maybe $320. I think they're breaking higher. Personally, still, room to run. These are $500 booster boxes. These are probably going to be the last of the glory age of booster box high prices. Anything returned around to newer, I don't see the 500 plus anymore unless something changes, and I would love to see that, but I don't have the confidence like I used to. Percentage-wise, again, around 2012 range, cool off by 2013-14. Here we are 2 years later. Massive return. Massive effing return. I mean, are you guys kidding me? $90 to the public, $73 was wholesale, $77 was distributor level, 80 to 90, or I'm sorry, 90 was eBay, 300 plus. Massive. This is a Black Swan event. We will not be seeing boxes do this kind of returns anytime soon, if not ever. If you guys disagree with me, or you think it's a conspiracy, you can tell me otherwise, but again, people who still think returns like this exist, tinfoil hats, conspiracy, not going to happen. Black Swan, these days are long gone. Original Finance 101 with this type of stuff, over with. Time value of Magic, over with. So, next thing. I invested a lot in booster boxes of the Dark. Honestly, good investment if you were at the beginning. I was not at the beginning. I invested and bought most of my boxes around $350 to $450 a booster box. I even bought one or two at $500 or $600 as they were going up. Right now, if you're patient and wait, you can probably get them around 500s, maybe 6. They do sell around 6 or 7 if you're patient. But again, I was late to the game, so I don't have a lot of returns or profit on boxes like this. I'm probably up maybe a little bit. But compared to the beginning, when these were like $40, $50 retail and like $30 wholesale, the people at the beginning, once again, made a fortune. There are people out there with still cases of the Dark that paid $30 a box, and back then they were 10 booster box cases. So a whole case was like $300. And a case nowadays would be like 5, 6 grand or something. So are you noticing a trend? The trend is the people who are followers and the lemmings who jump on the bandwagon after the easy money's made, they don't seem to really do as well. I got in late. I paid 400 to 500. They're selling for around 600. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Do you notice the trend? It's not a conspiracy. There's a real trend here. Do y'all notice that? The persons who are getting in at the beginning of it, the people who are ahead of the curve, are the ones that clean up. That's where the true wealth is made. Keep that in mind. Yes, I'm wearing a tie because everybody got mad at me for wearing my fancy shirts without a tie. So now I have a tie. So, back to time value of Magic. So moving forward, as we approach the year 2020 and beyond, just like with time value of money, you have to remember that everything is relative. And I want to go back to a lot of people. I was requested by a good amount of people to do a generic video like this on just how the functionality of time value of Magic and time value of money, how accurate is it? Is it really that big of a deal to follow? I mean, what do I think? My opinion, it is kind of an important thing. Time value of money, first of all, for generic people who aren't business majors or anything, is pretty much the value of a dollar as it erodes away as time goes on. There's a difference between investing $100 and then next year your bank gives you $1 and in 1 year you have $101 because you made 1%. You didn't really make 1%. Inflation and the adjustment for cost of living is usually between 2 and 5%, depending what metric you use, depending who you follow, and if you believe the government bullshit that's released every year that says there's no inflation. But Timmy says everything's more, all the food and housing is more expensive. There's no inflation. Yeah. So anyways, depends what metric you want to go by. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to point out is there is a major difference between true capital gains and cost of living inflationary adjustments. And that's where time value of money comes from. TVM. I hate acronyms. You guys know how I feel about that crap. So that brings me to the next thing, which is my pet peeve, which is what made me a lot of money to invest years ago in Magic. Bonds. Debt. I love debt. I love bonds. I'm not a big fan of equity in Wall Street in the stock market. I like the bond market. If you ever see me looking at an investment or any form of screen of the Scott Trade, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, any of that stuff, you're going to find me looking and combing through bond markets and municipal debts and things like that. You will never see me staring at stock charts and stock, quotes and tracing lines and Bollinger Bands and moving averages and all this bullshit. We used to make fun of it when we were working when I worked at my firm. And people just cracked us up. People would always lose. A few people would get lucky and they think they're special. So, when it comes to time value of Magic, I think it's important to remember some of these things. Pre-Return to Ravnica era, a lot of money and a lot of wealth was created and generated. And a lot of people who sat on the boxes and a lot of people who were ahead of that curve cleaned up. I don't mean they made some money. They fucking cleaned up. I'm talking Wall Street big bucks. People who had cases of Urzas, I'm talking made 6 figures. We're talking some people who had full sets of Alpha Beta Unlimited. We're talking 7-figure profit margins. Do I think those kind of returns can continue? No. Do I think there will still be healthy, realistic returns moving forward? Yes. When I say healthy, realistic returns, a healthy return to me is a 10% annual return on a sealed booster box. A healthy return to me on a single card, like graded power or anything like that, is 5 to 10%. To me, that's a healthy return. Having Urza's boxes now, Saga, around $1,000 a box, no, in the next 5 years, those boxes are not going to be $2,000 a box. Okay? A box of Legends, which used to be $70 in 1994, is now $5,000. In 20 more years, that's not going to be $500,000 if you want to keep going by compound interest. So I don't know if people are dumb enough or ignorant enough or want to pitch it that way where that's their excuse to buy Magic, because that's a fallacy. That's gambler's premium. You're setting yourself up for a letdown or a failure. But don't let me be so pessimistic about it where I'm telling you not to do it, because in older Magic, there is opportunity in doing things. But in the real world, with time value of money, when we live in an era where interest rates are still useless and the Fed has things suppressed at zero, who knows how much longer, who cares, can't do anything about it. I like non-cash driven assets, non-registered assets. You guys know how I feel about that. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at a time period, let's do an example here. We put $10,000 into original Innistrad today. We buy $10,000 worth of booster boxes at $300 a box. All right? Simple enough. And I want to say in 10 years, and I want a healthy 5% return a year. No, let's be ballsy. 10% a year. Do you guys honestly think this $300 booster box next year will be worth $330? Probably. 12 months from now, will this go from $300 to $330? If you look at it that way, it's actually pretty realistic. So do you see what I'm saying? 10 years from now, do I think this booster box is going to be like $1,000 or something stupid? No, I don't. They do have diminishing returns. Things do level out. Wizards is now aggressive on reprinting non-reserved list cards. A lot of things are going against the wind now. So, while I do think there's going to be years of nice returns along the line of time value of Magic, it is not going to be continue hard sustainable numbers. They hit invisible glass ceilings. Things do level out. Buyers do have points where they back off. I want to use that as an example. I think that's a fair example to tell everybody. So, jumping back, when it comes to corporate debt, I want to give everyone like a little example here. Buying a bond on Wall Street, and let's say you want to buy a bond in, I don't know, let's pick on something silly. Walmart, okay? We all love Walmart and the crazy homeless-looking people that go there. We want to buy a bond, an investment in the Walmart debt. We want to buy a Walmart bond. And Walmart's probably going to pay like 3% interest to buy and carry their debt. Okay, we're going to buy in the secondary market, not a new issue, and we're probably going to end up either paying full, what they call par value, or we're going to have to pay a premium to buy it off somebody else. Again, not going to be a lot of return. Let's say we can get a couple percent out of it. 3% a year, we give them our $10,000, we make 3% a year, and in 5 years from now, they give us our $10,000 back, and we collect interest along the way. So in 5 years from now, if we get paid, a 3% annual coupon rate, we're really not going to make a lot of money. So at the end of the day, that makes things like Magic more appealing to me, because the time value of Magic, you have uncertainty. And the uncertainty, to me, is all upside uncertainty. It's not downside uncertainty, like Walmart gets caught fudging their numbers or shutting down stores because they're becoming too big, they have stale stores, or demographic shift and they have locations that are doing bad. Things like that. So I like the idea of the time value of Magic. I think it's more appealing. It has more of a probability, has more odds for things to turn positive. So that's all I really have to say about it. I just want to let everybody know that there is a difference. This is kind of an intro to it. I don't want to get too detailed about it. I didn't throw anything a bit crazy. I just want people to know time value of Magic is a real thing. Percentages versus raw numbers is substantially different, and I want people to think about that, especially as I move into some more videos in the future. And other than that, always remember, then on top of time value of Magic, when you enjoy having the boxes, and you get to sleep with the boxes, it's priceless.